Hugh, it's interesting as the Eagles continue to win games and the Eagles continue to look like one of the best teams in the NFL. It's so interesting to watch how the conversation is shifting around their quarterback, right? In the beginning of the season, Jalen Hurts was struggling. We all can go back and say he was struggling, right? In the first 4 games, he struggled. And then the offense changed, the team changed, and he has played better since then. There's no question about that. Jalen Hurts has played better. Only 2 turnovers since week 4. He has played better. He has played, I actually think, for what they're asking him to do, he's played well, and he's done a nice job. But at the same time, you think about this thing like as if it's a car. He's not driving this thing right now. No, Hugh, he's
driving.
He's along for the ride right now.
No, he's driving it because and I know we're in a strange time when it comes to our quarterback. I know there are things that during the course of the season we saw that he couldn't do. I get that, but this team goes as Jalen Hurts goes, and I know that for a lot of people that might sound kind of crazy because of the season that Saquon Barkley is having. I get that. Jalen Hurts is still a good quarterback. They've reduced his role somewhat, but you can't tell me that we can have these same results with Kenny Two Gloves back there. You just can't. I do not believe that.
No, I don't think anyone believes that he won 8 in a row with Kenny Pickett back there. But could they have won the Ravens game on Sunday with Pickett?
I don't think so.
Jalen Hurts completed 11 passes.
I mean, I think he brings a different dynamic to the field that right now is not being quantified because Saquon Barkley is overshadowing everything.
And that's fair, and it's understandable. Look, I want to make it clear as we get into this conversation today. I think Jalen Hurts is playing well. I mean, he's playing. I think the last 2 weeks he's been in control of the game. I thought the Rams game he played really well. But they're not asking him to do a lot. I mean, it's really, compared to the rest of the league, he's
doing a lot less.
Yeah, I mean, so over the last 8 games, right, they've had this 8-game winning streak. He has thrown the ball an average of 21.5 times per game, which, again, we're all good with because it is working, and he's been efficient. His pass rate in that time is 114. He has been, he's run for 10 touchdowns. He's been really efficient and done a nice job. He just hasn't been
that guy that has been throwing the ball all around the schoolyard.
Right, he's not the driving force. Right, the way I view it is, if it's a car, he's still in the car. No one's kicking him out of the car. But he's not driving this bus right now. If we're doing the bus analogy like we're going down to New Orleans, Saquon's driving the bus. The O-line's driving the bus. The defense is taking turns driving the bus. Jalen's in the back, hanging out, playing cards, having a good time.
See that sounds like something I would be doing. But I don't believe that to be the case. I know in the first game of the season, he threw it 34 times. He had 20 completions, and we were able to win that game. And as the season progressed, there were games where he tried to throw it, and it wasn't that great. But there were a lot of factors that factor into that. I feel like, when you talk about Schmitty and AJ not being out there for a couple of those games, especially when I think of that Tampa Bay game, that's huge. This is the tale of 2 seasons for me because it's easy for us as fans to look at that. And I understand what you're saying, Joe. I understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. And there is some validity to that. But when you have a team that has the capabilities to run the ball the way that we're running the ball and have the offensive line that we have, why put the ball in harm's way, especially if we're being efficient? Now, there were times in that game where, in the Baltimore game, where Jalen was efficient with his legs. He threw the ball with pinpoint accuracy, and it's just made it easier. Saquon has made everything that we do easier, but I still feel that Jalen is part of this, and he's the catalyst to this team, so he's the driver.
So, look, I think he's certainly part of it. He's the quarterback of the football team, and his legs they help. All right, he has 10 rushing touchdowns the last 8 weeks. They help a lot, and the tush push is obviously a tremendous play still for the Eagles. We're watching a game manager. It's okay. I mean, game managers have won Super Bowls before. I'm going to give you a comp. This Eagles team, it's almost eerily similar statistically. They're like the 2013 Seahawks with Russell Wilson when he was young. They were led by a running game with Marshawn Lynch, their defense with the Legion of Boom, and the Eagles' defensive numbers are kind of, in ways, very similar to that Seahawks team. I looked at it yesterday. I was blown away how similar they are. And then Russell Wilson played well, but I think he was 22nd in the NFL in passing attempts that year. Russell wasn't the driver of that team then. I mean, he became it as the years went on. But then I believed he was along for the ride. 215-592-9494. Let's hear from Sheil Kapadia. He was on with the morning show. Listen to how he framed what the Eagles are asking of Jalen Hurts compared to the rest of the NFL right now. Here's Sheil Kapadia.
Yeah, I think you look at this last game, and he's doing what's asked of him, but what's asked of him is not in the passing game is not what other teams are asking of their quarterbacks. This is just how the team is built. This is a defense first, run heavy, offensive line type team right now, and we've seen that, and it's worked well. They've won 8 games in a row. So you look at this last game, he threw 18 or 19 passes in this game. They're incorporating the run pass options. They're doing play action. You did see some progress there where they're going under center, play action. He's throwing the football over the middle more in recent weeks, which I really like. He's showing he's able to do that. So it's one of those situations where you got to look at two things. Like, one is what's being asked of him compared to other quarterbacks in terms of carrying the load in the passing game for the entire team. And then two is what's he doing with what he's being asked to do. And that second question, I think he did a good job this last week.
Well, he's doing a good job in what they're asking him to do. I think that is, 6-7 weeks ago, Hugh, that was up in the air, right? Because he had some games where it was like, it's choppy. The last few weeks, he's played well in his role. It's just funny to watch this because it's a totally different role than maybe people envisioned when the season started.
Yeah, and I feel like the more Jalen gets comfortable with what he's being asked to do, as we progress through this, I think there's more that he's going to be able to do. This is eerily similar to me, and this is a long runway, people, so don't nobody start tweeting me and texting me and getting all in your feelings about what I'm about to say. But early in his career, Tom Brady was considered a game manager.
I agree with you.
And sometimes, as good as Tom Brady is, you have to pull it back just a little bit and allow your quarterback to grow. The unfortunate thing about being in the NFL, being in the NFL nowadays, and being a quarterback in particular, is you're thrown into a situation where most times you're expected to excel immediately. Mm-hmm. And sometimes there's a little bit of regression. Perfect example is the quarterback that we're going to play this weekend, Bryce Young. There were talks last year. This year, early on, he got benched. He's a bust. Now he's starting to look like the first-round pick that they picked when they picked him.
We'll see him
he's playing better because they had to sit him down and he had to do a hard reset. Not saying Jalen has to do that, but the more Jalen gets comfortable, and you see it, he's better. He's gotten better with the blitz. He's getting the ball out of his hands in time. The more he gets comfortable with, as you start to put more on his plate, he will get better at that. And right now, I think everything is being overshadowed by the fact that Saquon Barkley is just, man, he's a cheat code. There's no doubt about it. Saquon Barkley right now is a cheat code because like Rhea, shout out to Rhea Hughes, and I think she's coming on with us today.
Tomorrow.
Sorry about that, Rhea. I got a little bit excited. But
making Rhea drive back into work.
My bad, Rhea. She's probably listening like, are you kidding me? But no, because we text back and forth at the beginning of the games, and she always is livid at the beginning because it looks disjointed.
Well, that's the truth.
That's the truth. But especially this weekend because it was like the first play, Saquon Barkley ripped off like a 15-yard run.
And then they threw the copy.
Then they start throwing the ball. But I think that's trying to get him in a comfort zone. You know what I mean? And that's where we are right now. And I think as we progress through this, still got a lot of football to play this season. I think he would be better at that. And those moments that you're looking for from our quarterback, those can still happen.
They can, and maybe they won't need to. I mean, there's a world where this just works this way the whole year. I mentioned the 2013 Seahawks. Russell Wilson was a game manager. Russell Wilson was along for the ride. Their defense was so great, and their running game was so great. I don't remember him throwing the ball more than 25 times in any playoff game. He didn't need to. They won the Super Bowl that way. This could work. Now, I did say last week, and I do think it's going to happen at some point, he's going to have to throw them back in the game. But maybe I'm wrong on that. I've been wrong a lot this season. Maybe they just run the ball and play defense all the way to a Super Bowl. But the way I frame the Jalen thing is right now, he's along for the ride. 215-592-9494. Let's hear from Nick Sirianni, who obviously doesn't want us to talk like this because he interjected in his own press conference. He basically stopped this. He tried to stop today's conversation from happening before it even happened. Here was Nick on Sunday and how he frames the way Jalen's playing.
Can't say enough good things about how Jalen managed that 4 minute. And you'll say, "Oh, game manager." That's bull. That's all. Jalen played an awesome game, and his stats are going to say, right, we didn't throw it a lot. We were 11-19. He had 118 yards, but that guy made runs when he needed to make runs. He made good checks. He managed the game in a 4-minute to take the clock down to use as much time as he can. Man.
Well, he said it twice there. He managed the game.
Yeah, because in this day and age, that word game manager is triggering to a lot of people that, with no disrespect to the people that don't understand football. Because when you say that to me, I don't feel that that's a negative connotation.
It doesn't have to have one.
But I understand why it is.
Well, he's trying to get ahead of this before it becomes a big thing.
Yes, because, and not only that, Joe, think about it like this. We talked a lot about how there had to be a come to Jesus moment, and there had to be a lot of conversations to be had, and there were a lot of egos that needed to be stroked in order to get to this point.
Well, you got to be comfortable with your role.
Yes, you have to be comfortable, and I feel that with Jalen, that had to happen. Pull back a little bit so we can have ultimate team success. There are going to be opportunities, man. This is the beautiful part about this game, is that there are going to be opportunities for you to shine. You just have to be prepared to take advantage of them.
You got to wait your turn. And right now, the way I frame it is Jalen's along for the ride. 215-592-9494. Where do you come down on this? Is Jalen driving the car, or is he along for the ride?